You are listening to the Fly the W670 podcast, season 3, episode 78. What could have been for our Cubs? Don't forget to listen, download, review, most importantly, subscribe to the podcast. Follow on all the socials, Fly the W670 on Twitter, Instagram. We are also on Facebook. You can email Crawly and I, flythew670@gmail.com. Well, Crawly, I think you got a little over your skis. You might have said 2 out of 3. I think I went 1 out of 3, which I usually don't do. Usually trying to be glass half full. We were right. We did like the middle game the most of this series. That's the game they won. But let's do what we do here on the Fly the W podcast. Let's wrap up the final 3-game road series, this time against the National League East champion Philadelphia Phillies.
Yeah, the tough thing about predicting these end-of-the-year series is you got who's supposed to start, and then they play around with it.
Really? Nate Pearson? Why in the world did Nate Pearson start? I still want to know why Nate Pearson started, Crawly.
Right.
You have an answer for that, Crawly?
It was just an opener. It was just an opener strategy, and the Phillies would do the same thing the next day.
I mean, Nate Pearson? That's just weird.
Yeah, it was bizarre. If you wanted to go with Caleb Killian, just go with Caleb Killian.
Right.
It makes no sense. The Phillies were looking
Thank you. I feel better now.
The Phillies were looking to win to clinch the NL East. The Cubs, like we said, opener using Nate Pearson for 1 inning, then going to Caleb Killian, who was called up before the series started. Unfortunately, it didn't go great for Caleb. He gave up a single to the first batter he faces, former Cub Nick Castellanos. He gets Brian Stott to ground out, but JT Realmuto hits a line drive home run to center. We're going to hear a lot about Phillies home runs. Phillies are up 2-0. Bottom of the third, another former Cub, Kyle Schwarber, hits his 37th home run of the season, and the Cubs down 3-0. With that home run, that was RBI number 100 for Schwarber. He became the first Phillies player with back-to-back 100 RBI seasons since Ryan Howard did it from 2006 to 2011. I mean, I'm frustrated, and I got people on Twitter telling me, "Oh, just get over it. Just moved on." It's like, no, I'm not going to get over it because it was a stupid move. It was a stupid move to let him walk for nothing. It was just awful, right?
One of the worst moves.
Right, and I'm not going to stop complaining about it when I'm watching him hit home runs and doubles for 3 straight games. The next batter, Trey Turner double, Bryce Harper flied out, Alex Boehm walked, and Nick Castellanos, another former Cub.
Another former Cub.
Made it a 4-0 game. The Phillies weren't done just yet. Bottom of the 5th, Bryce Harper hit a leadoff double. Alex Boehm grounded out on a nice defensive play by Michael Busch. Nick Castellanos walked to put runners at first and second. Bryce Harper takes a healthy leadoff second. Christian Bethancourt throws it behind him, but it gets past shortstop Luis Vasquez. Harper rounds third, heads home. Nico throws it over Bethancourt's head. Harper scores to increase the Phillies lead to 5-0. Bottom of the 6th, Brandon Marsh walks. Johan Rojas singled to put runners at the corner. Schwarber would ground into a double play to score. Marsh put the Phillies up 6-0. Caleb went 5 2/3 innings in his season debut with the Cubs, gave up 6 runs, 5 earned on 8 hits, 4 walks, 3 Ks, and 2 home runs. I'm not going to put too much on this start. You just hope Caleb comes back strong next season and is healthy. And there's some of these guys that are kind of getting to the point where you have to make a decision one way or another, right? Either he's a guy or he's not. And
right now I'm leaning towards not, Crawly. He also appears in game number 3 of this series. We'll get to that in a minute, but right now I am leaning towards the not part. Not.
We talked on the last episode about how Aaron Nola's always pitched the Cubs tough, and Monday night was no different. Cubs didn't have more than 1 runner on base until the top of the 6th. 1 out, Mike Tauchman single, Michael Busch struck out, and Seiya doubled to put runners at second and third with 2 outs, but Cody Bellinger struck out to end the threat. Cubs did get on the board in the top of the 7th. Isak Paredes and Nikai Horner with back-to-back doubles to make it a 6-1 game. PCA walk. Christian Bethancourt hit a bunt single to load the bases with no outs. Nola's night is done. Reliever Matt Strom comes in and struck out pinch hitter Patrick Wisdom. Mike Tauchman grounds out, but Nico scores to make it 6-2. So Nola would pitch 6 innings, give up 2 runs, 7 hits, 2 walks, and 7 Ks. The Phillies bullpen shut the Cubs down the rest of the way, and the Phillies clinched the NL East. The Cubs offense scored 2 runs on 7 hits, 4 walks. They were 2 for 8 with runners in scoring position and left 9 men on base 9 times.
9.
Gavin Hollowell made his Cub debut pitching 1 1/3 scoreless inning. He gave up 2 hits. And I hope that the Cubs sat there and watched the Phillies celebrate, and got to listen to it. I'm sure you heard it in the locker room. Who knows, man?
I wonder, it's a good point. I wonder if any of the guys sat in the dugout and took that all in. I mean, I don't think you could get away from it in the clubhouse, but I wonder if anybody actually sat and took that in.
I hope so. I mean, the Phillies are what the Cubs should be, but we'll talk about it later. The Phillies have been doing it the right way, and the Cubs have not. So
yeah, they have superstars, Crawly. They have superstars. Cubs don't have superstars. They have good players. Cubs have good players. Don't have superstars.
Now, game 2, Justin Steele's, it was supposed to be versus Taijuan Walker, but Tanner Banks gets the start. With the Phillies probably partying all night after clinching, it didn't look like they really came to play on Tuesday night.
Yeah, that's always a good bet if you're looking for a bet after a team clinches. Even though there were some good guys in the lineup, which I was even surprised. I thought it would be the getaway on a Sunday in the middle of July kind of lineup. They had good guys out there, but they were probably a little hungover. They did get on the board first. Bryce Harper hits a solo home run in the bottom of the first to put the Phils up 1-0. Hit the ball in the middle.
Right. That lead didn't last long. 1 out. Michael Busch was hit by a pitch. He would run the bases, but would not come out in the 3rd inning. Nico and PCA singled to load the bases. Tanner Banks' night was done after an inning and a third. I don't know if that was planned or what, but bases loaded, 1 out for Taijuan Walker, who's had his struggles, and that's why we felt confident about this middle game. Miguel Amaya drew a walk to tie the game. Then Walker walked Ian Happ to put the Cubs up 2-1. Dansby grounds out to score PCA, and then Seiya Suzuki singled to increase the Cubs lead to 5-1 as Amaya and Happ came around to score. But Cody Bellinger single made it 6-1. The Phillies would get those runs back in the bottom of the 2nd. Nick Castellanos led off with the double. Justin Steele got Austin Hayes to fly to left. Castellanos goes to 3rd. Steele would strike out Edmundo Sosa, but Garrett Stubbs hit a bunt single and just beat Cody Bellinger to 1st. Cubs lead is cut to 6-2. Steele would go a little bit longer this time, 4 innings, gave up 2 runs, 4 hits, no walks, and 3 Ks. Now, the Cubs would blow this game open in the 6th. Amaya would lead off with a single. Ian Happ flied out for the 1st out. Then Dansby doubled to put runners at 2nd and 3rd. Seiya drew a walk to load the bases, Dustin. And this is where you talk about a hangover game. Cody Bellinger hits a chopper down the first base line. And Bryce Harper and Nick Castellanos, I don't know what they were doing. Neither of them looked like they were putting in that much effort to get to the ball. All 3 runs score. Cubs go up 9-2. Cody is credited with the triple. Congratulations. Isaac Paredes grounds out to Cody.
Yeah, boy, I got to tell you, that how do you get credit with a triple on that?
Yeah, Cubs are up 10-2, but literally
Cody barely even ran. He thought it was foul to start with.
Right, and it just kind of then it looked like he was going to go in the corner. Nick Castellanos kind of slow jogged in, and then it rolled all the way down the line, and Nick kind of took his time getting that one. It was just awful. In the 8th inning, Hayden Wesniewski was out for the 2nd inning of work. He gave up a single to Johan Rojas and then a 2-run blast to Kyle Schwarber to cut the Cubs lead to 10-4. But then Enoli Paredes, who was called up on Wednesday, mopped up the game in the 9th with an easy 1-2-3 inning. Cubs scored 10 runs on 15 hits. They were 4 for 18 with runners in scoring position, left 11 men on base. So, Dustin, the Phillies crushed the Cubs in the game 1. The Cubs returned the favor in game 2. We got the rubber match. Phillies are the first to get on the board. 1 out. Trey Turner hits a solo home run just like that. Phillies are up 1-0. Bryce Harper's going to walk, and Nick Castellanos doubled to put runners at 2nd and 3rd. Bryson Stott doubled to score both runners, and the Phillies took a 3-0 lead. Bottom of the 3rd, Nick Castellanos hits a solo home run to right center to make it 4-0. Now, the Cubs get on the board in the top of the 4th. Isaac Paredes singles off to lead off the inning. Cody Bellinger will reach on an error by second baseman Bryson Stott. Nico Horner makes him pay, Dustin. How about a 3-run blast to make it a 1-run game? Cubs down 4-3.
Felt pretty good. Felt pretty good there, Crawly. I felt like, okay, here they come.
Here they come. Bottom of the 4th, though, Phillies get one back. Cody Clemens, Rogers' son, hits a solo home run. The Phillies' 3rd of the game. First time in Javier Assad's career that he gave up 3 home runs in one game, and the Cubs are down 5-3.
Yeah, didn't like that stat. Didn't like that stat for your last time out for the season, probably. Did not like that.
Nope. Cubs made it a 1-run game in the top of the 5th. 2 out. Dansby drew a walk. Isaac Paredes singled to put runners at the quarter, and Cody Bellinger singled to make it 5-4. but the Phillies just wouldn't go away. With one out, Nick Castellanos singled and Bryson Stott reached on an infield single to put runners at first and second. JT Realmuto walked to load the bases. Assad's night's done. Keegan Thompson first out of the pen, and Brandon Marsh greets him with a double to clear the bases, and the Phillies double up the Cubs 8-4. And like you said, Dustin, for Assad, that just wasn't what he was looking for in what would be his final start of the season. The pitches weren't there. He went 4 1/3 inning, gave up 8 runs on 8 hits, 3 walks, 3 Ks, and 3 homers. Obviously, 3 of those runs were charged to him after he left the game. But, he had a pretty good season. You just didn't like to see him go out like that.
Yeah, it's just the way he goes out, right? Because that's unfortunately, for a guy like me, and it's, I look in the mirror, it's my problem, but like, that's what I'm going to remember. I'm going to remember that he allowed 3. Again, Phillies are really good. There's a reason they won the NL East. They're not fraudulent type of team, but that's what's going to stick with me. In a couple of weeks when we start mapping out what the Cubs are going to look like in 2025, I'm going to be on Javier Assad.
Yeah. Now, Nico Horner hit a solo home run in the 6th, almost in the exact same location, like the first row of left field. And that was the second home run for him of the game. His first multi-home run game of his career. Cubs down 8-5, but the Phillies just keep coming back. Bottom of the 7th, Bryson Stott singled, stole
relentless. They are relentless.
Yep. Scored on JT Realmuto singles to put the Phillies up 9-5. But Kevin Alcantara, who was called up today, the number 8 prospect in the Cubs system, the number 69th in baseball, was called up. He was 0 for 3, got his first MLB hit in the 9th, a little dribbler. Kid's got speed, and he scored on a Dansby Swanson double. El Jaguar got to get the ball. That's nice. That would be the final. Phillies scored 9 runs on 13 hits. Cubs scored 6 runs on 9 hits. Phillies were 2 for 8 with runners. Cubs were 2 for 8 with runners in scoring position, but the Phillies were 3 for 9. Both teams left 6 men on base. Phillies out-homered the Cubs 3-2, but the big difference was the doubles. Phillies hit 5 doubles to the Cubs 1. But Dustin, when we think about the title of this episode, what could have been for the Cubs, while I'm watching the Phillies celebrate clinch in the NL East, while I watch them tonight get home field advantage, I keep wondering about 3 players on the Phillies that had Cub ties. We talked about Kyle Schwarber, right? World Series hero for the Cubs. He hits back-to-back 100 RBI seasons for the Phillies. The Cubs left him walk over what amounts to $7 million. The Cubs instead went with Jock Peterson, who they traded at the deadline that year, for Bryce Ball, who is now out of baseball.
Who?
Then I look at Bryce Ball, first baseman. Then I look at Nick Castellanos spraying champagne. He hit .321 with 68 hits, 16 home runs, 36 RBIs, and 43 runs for the Cubs in the second half of 2019. They let him walk, and he found a home in Philadelphia. And then there was Bryce Harper. You remember he had a dog named Wrigley, and he was best friends with Chris Bryant? In the 2018-2019 offseason, the 2 hottest free agents were Bryce Harper and Manny Machado. You know who the Cubs signed that year? Daniel Descalso. Let me ask you, how has it worked out for Daniel Descalso? How has it worked out for the Phillies, and how has it worked out for the Padres to sign big money guys like Bryce Harper and Manny Machado? You think any of those owners have complaints right now as they keep going to the postseason over and over and over again? Harper signed a 13-year, $330 million contract with the Phillies. When Harper led the Phillies to the NL pennant in 2022, Phillies owner Don Bell said this to a reporter during the postgame celebration. I'm thinking maybe I underpaid him. I told him that tonight. I told that to Scott Boras a while ago. So, you know what, Dustin? 3 guys that are going to be making another trip to the postseason that easily could have, should have, would have been with the Cubs in Schwarber, Castellanos, and Harper. But because
Harper maybe not, but the other 2 for sure.
Why not, Dustin?
Right?
Why not?
Why
not if you had interest?
Well,
you're a major market team. You're a major market team. You got outspent by the Padres for Manny Machado. How about that?
Yeah, I just don't know that you would have had an outfield of Schwarber, Harper, and Castellanos.
Not all 3. But if you even
that's what I'm saying. I mean, I think you could have had 2. I think you could if you kept Harper out of the equation. I think you could have had Schwarber and Castellanos.
You could have had probably all 3. You got Harper playing first base right now. You got Castellanos in right, and you have Schwarber DH.
No, three would have been gluttonous.
You knew the DH was coming. You knew the DH was coming.
Well, if they did, then they totally misplayed their hand with Kyle Schwarber.
Well, Dustin, let me ask you this.
I agree with you. Let
me ask you this here, though. You got Juan Soto, who's a guaranteed pretty much at this point a lock to make the Hall of Fame. And again, it's not going to happen. And you said it earlier, superstars. You want to try to do it like the Milwaukee Brewers. How many rings do the Milwaukee Brewers have? How many World Series trophies do they have in their championship trophy room? 0. Okay. So here's the thing, man. Major market team, start spending and acting like it. This bargain shopping, we got some guys that are kind of good. It isn't going to cut it. And you are in a division with small market teams, and you can't even win that. You haven't made a postseason in 4 years. And if you go even further than that, 2020 was a joke of a season. It should have never been played. If you want to count that postseason, whatever. But I don't even count that. That's just, to me, a joke. And it's just frustrating to see an owner in Philadelphia that sees the value of spending to get superstars and to see the reaction of the fans coming in and making double, triple what he's probably paid for Harper in tickets, in jersey sales, in postseason, all that stuff, postseason concessions. It's just, figure it out. I don't know what's going on here.
Well said, Crawly. Well said. You are listening to the Fly the W670 podcast. It's episode 78 of season number 3. What could have been for our Cubs? Feel free to leave us a 5-star review. You can also email us, flythew670@gmail.com. We're on all the social media platforms. And don't forget, you can watch us on the 670 The Score YouTube page. In this segment, Crawly talks to Eddie Colon, father of Ryker Colon, a brave young Cubs fan fighting an undiagnosed disorder, and his special weekend with the Cubs and the players.
Joining me now on the Fly the W podcast, I'm happy to have my friend Eddie Colon on today. Eddie, how you doing, buddy?
Good. How are you?
Oh, I'm excited. We are a couple of days. I get to see you and Brandy and the kids, for the Sammy Sosa event. I am excited. I know you are too. You had a chance to meet Sammy before, so this is an exciting time.
Yes, it is. I can't wait. I know. We're all excited to see. We're all excited to see everyone.
Now, Eddie, I got to ask you, how did you get into the Chicago Cubs? Where did your fandom start?
With my grandpa. So my grandpa was a huge fan, so that's how it all kind of started. So, me and my brother would watch games with him growing up, and then, it just kind of evolved from there.
And so, I started kind of noticing you, interacting with you on Twitter a few years back, and I got to meet you and your family, I think the first time in person at the Hella Mega Tour. This picture right here. So there's you, your lovely wife, and there's your son Aramis and Ryker. Tell us a little bit about Ryker.
So Ryker, so he's 9 now, but he suffers from a very rare form of muscular dystrophy right now. So when he was diagnosed, it was around a little after 2021 that we actually got a letter, from the Mayo saying, this is what we found. And then we actually had to go meet up with them. So at our first initial meeting, there were only 17 individuals worldwide with this condition, which, I had to stop and ask the doctor several times, like, are you sure that number's right? Like 17, like that seems, it's very low. And he's like, no, there's 17. And it still amazes me that there's only, now I spoke with another doctor. Well, I've been speaking with another doctor for like the last 2 months. And I say the number's up now, but it's up to 24.
Out of 7 billion. That's just, that's just literally mind blowing. And so, obviously, it really kind of changes your life, but you instilled the love of baseball and the Cubs in both of your sons, correct?
Yes.
And I love this picture right here. I know Ryker just had a makeover in the room, and it looks really great for those of you watching on 670 The Score YouTube channel. But, when did you start bringing the boys to games?
Shoot. I think Aramis might have been 4 or 5. I mean, and we started in the bleachers, which, I mean, some people take kids there. So like, the crowd is a little rowdier but he loved it. And then Ryker, probably the same, like he was around the same age, I would say. But we got to keep in the shade with him because he does not like the sun. So we did go to the bleachers once, but it was a little bit miserable. But I mean, so both of them were probably around the same age when we took them to the first Cubs game. And, we do have a busy summer schedule, so we at least try to make it to 1 or 2 a year. But with baseball, with our own baseball, that's, where we stand is just to make about, 2 games a year.
Now, in 2020, the pandemic kind of just shuts everything down. And at that time at Club 400, I mean, we were just rolling party after party, Zobrist and Javi Baez and Kyle. And I mean, it was just like, we're on top. And then all of a sudden, pandemic just shuts everything down. And during this time period, Stuart McVicker decided that he was going to start letting small groups of people with masks and all that stuff to come to visit Club 400, which and a lot of people that listen to this podcast know, it's kind of like a mecca for Cub fans, of just one of the most unique places in the world. What got you deciding, hey, I want to try to go and drive to Lake in the Hills to see Club 400? So,
like you mentioned, around that time, the pandemic, I think he was probably getting stir crazy because he wasn't having anything. So, he posted that he was having the, a contest to nominate your favorite Cubs fan. So I, just on a limb, nominated Aramis. Like, yeah, I know he hasn't been a Cubs fan for a long time, but ever since he was little. So I'm like, he would love this place. So I entered his name, and then Stu texted me via Facebook Messenger and said, hey, can you come out on this day? I want to invite Aramis and your family. I was quick to say yes. And then, we had to think about it for a little bit, just because obviously with Ryker, we don't know like what would happen if he got, if he would get sick. So then like I went back and forth, and then finally we were just like, okay, we'll do it. Like, he's going to be safe. We're going to wear masks. So then one Saturday we drove it's a little over 3 hours, and did the 1 hour tour. And then, I thought that would be the end, but I mean, there's so much to take in that it's hard to see everything in one visit. I mean, even 2 visits. I mean, I think I still find things that I'm like, oh, I've never noticed that before. So, but yeah, so then after that visit, I mean, we came back home, and I'm like, oh, well, that was nice. I can't wait to go to the next event. Oh yeah, see, that was when he was walking. Look at him.
So that's a picture of Ryker here, and he's got a bat, and he's walking, and he's got his mask on, a Cubby mask, and a little helmet. And I was just looking at those pictures and looking at the boys, and they were just like I said, it was like Disneyland for Cubs fans. And through that initial meeting, and you talked a little bit about, okay, well, we'll see what happens at the next event. When did you find out that you were going to be the recipient of the next event?
So yeah, the next event, I mean, it took Stu a long time to convince me to say yes. Like was very persistent. He texted me, hey, I want to help you out. And I'm like, no, thank you, but no, like, I'm like, I can't do that. And then, he just kept pushing. Finally, I told my wife, I'm like, what do I do? I said, I don't know what to do. And she's like, well, tell him yes, but that it's obviously he knows it wasn't very easy, because he was, he kept texting, because by that time we exchanged numbers. So he was texting me, and then finally I was like, okay. And then, the ball started rolling. He would send me little updates here and there. And then, and then the day came, and I mean, we've been family since.
And so this is a picture from that party. This is Joe Kilgallen, our friend, stand-up comedian. He was the MC for the night. Stu and Ryan Dempster presenting the check to you guys. And it was just such an amazing party. And like you said, after that happens, this is a great picture of everybody here. But, You became part of the Club 400 family. You've been coming to events and everything. But then you decided to come out to Arizona but even through like different events, you got to meet people. And I think one of the first times I really started to notice a relationship between a Cub player and Ryker is with Frank Schwindel. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. So, I mean, we first met, at a Club 400. It was I believe it was the Christmas party, right? Was it?
Correct.
Maybe?
Yeah.
They, and I always gotta kind of stop them. Like, I know that like the players are there, but sometimes Ryker will, hey, like let's play catch real quick, and I'm like, well, come on, Ryker, like there's other people waiting in line, but he stopped, he played catch with them, and then I kind of thought that, hey, that would be the end, but then I message him via Instagram and just thank them for, because then Ryker went on and on 2 days later, even, oh my God, that was, the best time ever. And then, I reached out to him just to thank him. And then like, since that day, he would reach out, ask about Ryker would ask about him. So I was kind of the middleman, texting him back and forth. He calls and wished them happy birthday and stuff like that. So, we've been in contact with him since that day.
So when did the idea come in your head for the band? When did that idea pop into your head?
So, I met somebody, like, I don't know, I tell you, I meet people randomly at different locations. I was actually at a country concert. My sister was talking to some guy, and like, I don't know, he was big on TikTok. He was like, well, I'll help you guys out. I'll do something. So he initially had one of his creators like do some Team Ryker shirts. Well, like the store was open for like a month and they had bands also. So like, after that month, people were like, oh, we didn't see anything. Like, we would order stuff. So then I went locally with somebody in town in Muscatine and, created a store. We did the shirts, sweatshirts, and then these bands. Well, then once we started getting them, Ryker was like, hey, I want to hand these out to players. And I'm like, well, I'm like, Ryker, I don't know if they'll wear them, but we can try. So, then that kind of started with him, when we would go to the games and start, watch the player arrivals. He would be there in the corral with Aramis and they would hand them out. And then ever since then, it's just kind of became a thing that, and I tell him over and over, because I swear, I think Patrick Wisdom has probably like 5 of them because he just keeps giving them to him. I'm like, Ryker, he already has one. He already has one. He already gave him one.
And once this kind of starts growing, it spreads obviously to all the Club 400 members who wear their Ryker band. And then spring training, which is always a very special trip for Club 400, kind of kicks up. And that Club 400 has a tent there and it has a presence there. They're there all 4 weeks of spring training, even earlier. And you start to get people like Kathy Weedley and people like Tommy Skinner and Christine, and all these people start passing because the players, start to kind of get to know you the longer that you're around there. And the next thing you know, pretty much every, so many people, this is a picture of Fergie Jenkins wearing the band. Yeah. So many people start wearing it. It's becoming like an updated Facebook thing of pictures of people in the Cubs world wearing the Team Ryker band. You had to have been just amazed at just how quick this spread.
Yes. And, and I know, like, I'm sure that people get annoyed with it, but even now, like, even we still see it on, and, it's awesome that they still, support him, and the amount of players that have worn them. I would say that almost everybody, the majority of the players have worn them at least for a day or so, but
some of them longer than that, right?
Yes, some longer than that.
And so for all of us, when we watch the games and we watch the players, this is from when Alex Cohen was in the booth, and you can see it, like he's not putting up there, but you can see it on his wrist. And so we kind of start to take notice to this. There's Mike Talkman after a game-winning hit, and you can clearly see it on his wrist. And then tell me about the baseball card.
So yeah, so actually I had another friend up in Minnesota that texted me was like, "Hey, I found this on eBay." And I'm like, "Oh my God, I need that." Like that's awesome because I would figure they would, try to get rid of that. Like
Airbrush it.
yes, just so that it's not on there. And so then, I mean the boys have been collecting baseball cards for a few years now, but then, I was like, okay, now we really need to start getting into this because I want this. Like we got to have this one. So then I think I posted on Facebook or something like, okay, the hunt is on. Like I need to get this because I think it was on eBay, but it was a little expensive. But then, our William, he bought the card, took it to spring training, and he was on a mission to get it signed. And I think it took him a little while. I think he got the help from a lot of you guys down there trying to get in touch with Dansby. But yeah, he got the card signed. He got the picture from when the boys originally gave him the band, and yeah, he sent a nice picture frame with it on with the card, and then yes, we got that signed.
So for those that are listening, it's a Dansby Swanson Tops Now card, and Dansby's in a fielding position, and the band is just clearly visible. Like there's no mistake in it. And again, it's just such an amazing moment. How did Marquis, do you think, kind of get wind of this story?
So, I think we know Scott, the photographer, like he started following Ryker's Instagram, and he's followed me for a while too, just because, I think I met him at one event. I think he was at an event a while ago, but, just from the community, he started seeing the bands. And then when he wanted one. So then we actually met up in July. And then that's when he kind of mentioned to me, hey, I want to do a story, about Ryker's condition and the bands. And I didn't say yes. I didn't say no. I'm like, if you want to try, like, that's fine. Like, and then, we started talking after that. He was telling me, yes, I brought this up at our meetings, and they really want to do a feature story on Ryker. And then I'm like, okay. So then, I'd been sending him pictures of, the players with the bands, videos of Ryker's reaction. And then, we kept it a secret from the boys until that Friday, the Friday before that we headed out to Chicago. And yes, the video of Ryker is absolutely priceless.
And so that you're talking last Friday, which was for the National Series.
Yep.
You come into town and they are ready to shoot a feature to talk about Ryker's condition. I mean, and some of the pictures that I have here, this is a picture of you guys with Nico Horner, and here's one with Shota Imanaga. What was he like? Was he just phenomenal?
Oh no, that's Seiya.
Oh, Seiya, I'm sorry, Seiya Suzuki, and that had to have been really exciting. How about PCA playing catch? Like you said, Ryker will ask anyone to play catch, and there he is with PCA.
Yes, and I think when he was doing that, I think I was talking to Cole Wright, because they were trying to, as players were coming out, they were trying to get players to come over. But if somebody walked by, like if they walked by, like I didn't have any issue, but Ryker, was yelling at everybody, and I'm like, oh, Ryker, I'm like, you need to like stop. And then PCA came over. I think he was getting ready to go hit, and Ryker's like, hey, will you play catch with me? And I'm like, Ryker, like, he has to go, and he's like, no, it's fine. He's like, I gotta warm up my arm anyway. So then he stood there for a little while and played catch with him, and it was awesome.
And I love this family picture of you guys with Dansby Swanson. Again, when you think about the card and you think about, one of the guys that really, to me, like, him and Patrick and some of these guys that never take it off, Dansby's high on that list. And that's just such a cool shot. And then I just love this picture of all of you on the family. You got the t-shirt that says the power of the band, Team Ryker shirt that Ryker's wearing. Ramos has got a big fan of baseball. Just the smiles. That had to have meant everything for you and the family to kind of just have that experience.
It was, and I knew a little bit about what was going to happen, but I didn't know like the full extent of it, which I mean, we pulled into the Camry lot. Scott was, he came in and met us, and it was like it started from right there from the parking lot. I mean, he mic'd us up and he filmed us all the way into the player, watching the boys watch the players come in, and then all the way down until we went on the field. And yeah, I mean, I would say we're still on a high from it, and like Dansby stayed around for a while, which was nice because then I got to explain to him the meaning, because a lot of the players don't know, like they don't know the story because you don't have enough time to, I mean, they're coming in, they're leaving. You don't really have enough time to explain, what it means to our family that they're wearing this. So, I got to explain Ryker's condition to Dansby, let him know, what it means to us. And I think you could tell that he really appreciated hearing that and like finding more about Ryker.
And so this is going to premiere, we believe, Saturday pregame on Marquee Network, correct?
So I should find out more tomorrow, but it is either going to be Friday or Saturday pregame during Cubs Live.
That's good. And then, I'm going to be taping all of it. So hopefully we can get a good look at this, but this is going to be a great chance. Eddie, I know for you as a father, the thing is that you have to be the one that goes to bat for your son because this is such a rare disorder. It's not something like, say, breast cancer and the Susan J. Coleman or, this and that. This is affecting such a small portion of the population that it has to be difficult to get funding and awareness to try and beat this thing. So you're on a mission to really kind of spread awareness of what is going on with Ryker and the other 23 people that may have this rare genetic disorder. I mean, how much does it mean to you that the whole Cubs community is rallying around and Cub fans all over the place are going to have a chance to kind of realize what this is all about?
I don't know if I can really, I don't think there's one word to really explain. I mean, how we feel like, we're obviously very thankful. And like you said, yes, there is absolutely no funding. Like the doctor that I've been talking to said that, it's very hard for him to get funding for it. He's applied for grants. So, and I don't know, I guess we'll just say this right now. I mean, during the broadcast, there is going to be a way for people to donate to this cause for research. So yeah, there'll be a way for everybody that's watching to be able to donate, which I mean is ultimately what the goal is, obviously to bring more awareness and stuff like that, but obviously to get funding so they can do more research.
Well, Eddie, where would people go if they want to find more out about Ryker, about his condition, and to get some of the Team Ryker merchandise? Where can people go to be a part of Team Ryker?
Well, I mean, if I had to open the store, I can open the store again, but no, like the store is closed, and I just normally just buy $100 worth. I mean, I buy them and then we pass them out. So the ones that everybody do have, like I just do it, and then if there is enough interest, I could try to open it up again.
I hope after this showing on Marquee, I'm hoping that's the case. And again, you can always get them if you go to a Club 400 event. You'll be there with the bands, and Ryker will be more than happy to hand you one. Yeah. And not only that, people can follow you on X, and when you're at the games, if they're at the same games, you'll always be kind of walking around. You'll be by the corral. You'll be in different places, correct? Where can they follow you on the socials?
So just on Instagram. Well, actually, you know what? Ryker has his own page. I don't know if you can put that up somehow. But yeah, they can follow Ryker. That would be the best one.
All right, they can follow Ryker. And then on Twitter, where are you at?
At Country Fan, which I need to change that name. I don't even know. Actually, I don't even know how to change it though.
No comment, Eddie, but you know what, man? I am
you like country.
I'm so looking forward to seeing you and the boys at the Sammy Sosa event. I'm so excited about this opportunity you had to raise awareness. We're all super proud of everything that you guys have accomplished. And again, it's that's the thing about the Cubs community and about Club 400, Cub fans helping Cub fans and passing along this gift and realizing that, deep down, whatever differences we may have, we're all Cubs fans and we're all in this together and we're always here for each other. So I'm super excited. And this is going to be a great opportunity for people to learn about this rare disorder, to learn about your family and the great things that you guys are doing. And we're so super excited for you.
Thank you. I love all you guys. This is, I'm excited to see how they put it all together.
Thank you so much, Eddie, for jumping on. And we're looking forward to seeing you again this weekend.
All right. We'll see you.
This is season 3, episode 78 of the Fly the W670 podcast. Oh, what could have been, Cub fans? What could have been for the 2024 Cubs? Don't forget to listen, download, review, and subscribe to the Fly the W podcast. Leave us a 5-star review. You can also email us at flythew670@gmail.com. And don't forget to watch us. That's right, Crawly. You can watch you and I do this little shindig on 670 The Score's YouTube page. Do we really need to look at the standings? Do you want to depress everyone?
Well, Dustin.
Are the Cubs staying? Oh, no. See, Crawly, I said, do we really need to look at the standings?
Yes,
Yuck.
Yes,
Yuck.
and I want all the Cubs players to do it. I want to rub their noses in it like a dog that had an accident on the carpet. I asked our listeners a week ago, I said, does it matter if the Cubs finish above the Cardinals in the standings? Well, right now, after tonight, ladies and gentlemen, the Cubs are in 3rd place behind the Cardinals. The Cardinals on a 3-game winning streak. The Cubs just lost tonight. So Cincinnati on a 2-game losing streak. They're the team that the Cubs play next, and Pittsburgh in last place. But, again, it will, as bad as this season was, as the expectations, it's even worse if you're going to start finishing 3rd place behind the Cardinals.
Crawly, did you come on? Just when I thought we were going to have a positive Crawly, that hurts. I'm disappointed we had to do that. But okay, it is what it is. Let's move on. So those are the standings. A lot of roster manipulation here towards the end of the season.
Yeah, you talk about it hurting. It hurt for the Cubs a lot. Ian Happ had some lower back tightness, so Mike Tauchman made the start on Monday. He was also scratching the finale against the Nationals, but he did play the next 2 games. Jorge Lopez was placed on the 15-day IL with a right groin strain, effectively ending his season and most likely his time with the Cubs. You remember the Mets DFA'd him after he threw his glove in the crowd and had a disastrous post-game interview, but he really turned the season around with the Cubs, and look for him to make, he'll hopefully make some good money in this offseason. Caleb Killian was called up to take his spot and pitched the majority of the innings on Monday. After a disastrous finish with this time with the Mets, like I said, Lopez really looked good. The Cubs claimed 28-year-old righty Enoli Paredes off waivers from the Brewers. They optioned Trey Wingardner to the Arizona Complex League, and they called up Gavin Hollowell for the I-Cubs. Hollowell was a waiver wire pickup in August who was DFA'd from the Diamondbacks. On Tuesday, Paredes was added to the roster, and Hollowell was optioned to the Arizona Complex League. So the Gavin Hollowell tour lasted all of 1 game, 1 inning. Before Wednesday night's game, though, the Cubs announced that Kevin Alcantara, the 69th ranked prospect in all of baseball, was getting called up to the big leagues. He is known as the El Jaguar, and we got him in the Rizzo trade with the Yankees. Seiya Suzuki had a right ankle sprain from that triple that we talked about, Cody Bellinger, and they aren't ruling out an IL stint for Seiya, so that's why they called Alcantara up. The Cubs optioned Miles Mastrobuoni to the Arizona Complex League to make room for Alcantara. He was already on the 40-man roster. That's why he got called up instead of, say, like Owen Casey. So you don't have to DFA anybody. It's just a little roster manipulation. And then after Michael Busch was hit with that pitch on Tuesday night, he did not play Wednesday. So I did not play the rest of the game Tuesday, did not play Wednesday. So just kind of something to keep in mind.
All right. That's interesting. I want to go back really quick. The young man from the Brewers, Paredes, that closed the game that they won. What are your thoughts on him?
This is sometimes what you do. It just, you don't want to do it during the season, is you kind of sift to see if you can find something. And that's going to be a big question next year. You want to have more depth in the bullpen. Obviously, that hurt him this year. But when you talk about guys like Nate Pearson or Paredes, these are guys that you kind of are hoping you're taking a shot. You tweak a little something. You see something there. The Cubs did it with Julian Merriweather when he was in Toronto, and they turned him around and made him into something. Unfortunately, this season didn't go that way, but you're looking to do the same thing with guys like Pearson and Paredes and stuff like that. You just can't count on them and be like, oh, those are your 7th and 8th inning guys. Those should be the last guys off the pen, and hope that you can kind of get something there and they can develop.
Yep. All right. I know it's bittersweet for all of us, but the final 3 games are coming up Friday, Saturday, Sunday. At least they are at Wrigley, and they are going to be against the Reds from Cincinnati.
Yep. Like the Cubs, the Reds were expecting to make a postseason run, and like the Cubs, injury and poor play have led to another disappointing season. Reds played mostly 500 ball this season, but just like the Cubs, 2 months determined the fate of their season. The Reds went 9-18 in May and 12-17 in August. So in those 2 months, you're talking about 14 games under 500 they played. And so that's going to knock you out. And like the Cubs, injuries decimated the Reds. Matt McClain was supposed to be a big part of what they were doing. He was a second baseman. He missed the season with shoulder and rib injuries. Third baseman Noel V. Marquez was suspended 80 games for PED use. First baseman Christian Encarnacion Strand missed nearly the entire season. And at one time, the entire Reds rotation was on the IL. Hunter Green, Andrew Abbott, Nick Milodolo, Graham Ashcroft. A disaster. On Sunday, the Reds fired manager David Bell, even though he signed a 3-year extension in July of 2023. Bench coach Freddie Benavidez will serve as the Cincinnati's interim manager. That being said, Dustin, the Reds have dominated the Cubs in the season series. The Cubs first placed the Reds at Wrigley at the end of May and in early June in Cincinnati when they were in the middle of their tailspin. Reds took 2 of 3 at Wrigley. Then a week later, the Cubs lost 3 of 4 to Cincy. The Cubs would also lose 2 out of 3 against the Reds at the end of July after the All-Star break. So right now, the Reds hold the series lead this season 7-3. Reds currently have a record of 76-82, 4th in the NL. They're 37-40 on the road. They're finishing up a series with the Guardians tonight. They lost the first game of the series 6-1. One other thing, Dustin, it looks like, some rumors early on that not Joe Madden, but David Ross.
David Ross could be a candidate over there. God, would that be awesome? The rivalry between the Reds and the Cubs and seeing those 2 skippers go head to head. I would love that. Love it.
Not only that, Dustin, I don't know if you saw my Twitter today at Crawly's Cubs. I went on to Instagram and David Ross posted on there for the first time. David Ross has hair again. He looks like the Brian Urlacher billboards.
I was going to say, did he do that? Is he doing an endorsement? Interesting.
I'm just telling, it was quite shocking to see. So, hey, congratulations, David Ross. And like you said, I'd love to see him come back into the NL Central. That would make things spicy, right?
My thing spicy. All right, a little tail of the tape, Cub Red style. Tail of the tape.
All righty, here we go. Last time around, when it comes to batting average, the Cubs are 15th in baseball, 243. They got the edge on the Reds, whose batting average is 232, 26th in all of baseball. Slug, they're pretty close, but Cubs have the edge, 396, which is 16th in baseball, compared to 393, 19th for the Reds. Runners in scoring position, the Reds have the advantage here. They hit 257, 14th in baseball, compared to 245 for the Cubs, which is 22nd. Starting pitching ERA is going to be the big difference here. The Cubs 379, which is 8th in baseball, versus the Reds 417, which is 18th. The Cubs have the better bullpen, 383 ERA, 12th in baseball, compared to the Reds 408 with 18th in baseball. And fielding, this is a huge difference here. The Cubs have 30 defensive runs saved, 10th in baseball, while the Reds have negative 34 defensive runs saved, 28th in baseball. So only 2 teams worse defensively than the Reds.
All right, game number 1, Friday, last Friday, 120 start for quite some time. Jameson Taillon, Nick Martinez.
Yep, Jameson Taillon looking to finish on a high note. He's had a really good season, going 11-8 with a 3.41 ERA with 123 strikeouts and 158 in the third innings. JMO's 2-0 in September with a minuscule 1.08 ERA. Taillon has not given up more than 2 runs in 4 starts in September. JMO has faced the Reds once this season, but it didn't go well for him. And since he pitched 4 1/3 innings, gave up 6 runs on 6 hits, 2 home runs. Tyone has done well, has done okay against the Reds in his career, going 5-6 lifetime against Cincy with a 5.15 ERA and 17 starts. Santiago Espinal is 3 for 13 against JMO. TJ Friedel is 4 for 11. Spencer Steer is 3 for 10. He is going to face Nick Martinez, who is 10-6 with a 3.22 ERA in 41 games. 15 of those starts with 113 strikeouts and 134 in a third innings pitch. Martinez is actually having a better month of September than JMO. He is 4-0 with a .73 ERA and hasn't given up more than 1 run in any of those 4 starts. Martinez has pitched against the Cubs 3 times this season, but the first 2 times he was as a reliever before he was moved in the rotation due to injury. He pitched 2 scoreless innings of relief against the Cubs on June 2nd and 1 scoreless inning against Chicago on June 7th. In his only start against the Cubs this season, Martinez pitched 4 scoreless innings and gave up 4 hits, no walks, and no strikeouts. He's 2-0 lifetime against the Cubs with a 2.81 ERA in 7 games. Only one of those starts. Dansby Swanson 3 for 8 against Martinez, and Ian Happ is 1 for 8 against Martinez, who features a 4-seam fastball, changeup, cutter, sinker, and curveball.
All right, so that's game number 1. Game number 2, very interesting. Kyle Hendricks getting another start, and this might be a farewell to the faithful at Wrigley.
You know, Dustin, if I had my way, and I'm going to be at the game on Sunday, the last game of the season, as always, tradition. I wish Kyle would start Sunday.
I agree. If he's going to start, why not Sunday, right?
Right. Who cares about just let Justin Steele rest? Just do a bullpen. Put Hayden Wesniewski in on Saturday.
Steele's yours. I hope Steele's year's over. I hope that's
right. We'll see what happens here, but this is what we have. This is what the Cubs have announced so far. You got the old veteran versus the young rookie Rhett Lauder in what's most likely his final start as a Cub. Kyle Hendricks, 34 years old, has a record of 4-12, 6.28 ERA in 28 games, 23 games started with 85 strikeouts and 123 in the third innings pitch. Obviously, it's been a frustrating season for Kyle as the Cubs picked up the option this season, and he just hasn't performed up to his standards. 3 starts ago against the Dodgers, he gave up 2 runs in 4 1/3 innings. Against the Rockies, he prevented the Cubs from getting swept, giving up 1 run in 6 innings. But in his last start against the Nationals, he gave up 4 runs in 5 1/3 innings and took the loss. Kyle's faced the Reds 3 times this season, although 2 of those appearances came when he was in the pen. On June 2nd, Kyle pitched 3 scoreless innings out of the pen. On June 6th, he pitched 1 1/3 scoreless innings from the bullpen. He started against the Reds in Cincinnati on July 31st, giving up 3 runs on 4 hits, 5 innings of work. Kyle's 9-6 lifetime against the Reds in 27 games. 25 of those were starts with a 4.30 ERA. Jonathan India is 4 for 17 against Kyle, and Jake Fraley is 2 for 6. He's taken on Rhett Lauder, a 22-year-old rookie right-hander who made his debut against Milwaukee on August 30th. Kid's been really impressive, going 2-2 with a 1.40 ERA in 5 games started. On September 10th against the Cardinals, Lauder pitched 5 shutout innings against the Twins. On 9/15, he gave up 3 runs in 5 1/3 innings. And in his last start against the Pirates, he pitched 5 shutout innings. Small sample size, 5 starts, but he hasn't given up a run in 3 of those games. None of the Cubs have seen Lauder, who features a slider, a 4-seam fastball, and a sinker.
A sinker, huh? All right. Sinker. That sounds like the season. Game number 3, TBD. Maybe Justin Steele, Hunter Green, 120 start.
Yep, last of the season, one more time. If let's assume Justin's going to be taking this one, he's 5-5 with a 3.07 ERA in 24 games, started with 135 strikeouts and 134 and 2/3 innings. Went on the IL with left elbow tendonitis on August 27th. His first start back was September 18th. He pitched 2 2/3 innings against the A's, gave up no runs. He started on Tuesday against the Phillies, gave up 2 runs in 4 innings. Steele has faced the Reds 3 times this season. In June, he had 2 good starts against Cincy. On June 1st, he gave up 1 run in 5 innings. The next week, he only gave up 1 run in 7 innings. But the start in July in Cincy did not go well. Gave up 5 runs on 6 hits in 5 innings and took the loss. Steele is 2-5 in lifetime against the Reds with a 6.11 ERA in 11 games. 9 of those were starts. Tyler Stevenson is 11 for 19. Jonathan India, 4 for 17. And Spencer Steers, 5 for 15. He's going to take on Hunter Green, who's 9-5 with a 2.83 ERA and 25 games started with 166 strikeouts in 146 1/3 innings pitch. Green's had a great season and made the All-Star team, but he went on the IL on August 17th with right elbow soreness. He was activated on Sunday and was on a pitch count. In that game against the Pirates, he gave up 1 run on 2 hits in 3 innings. Cubs have seen Green twice this season. They got to him both times. On June 1st, Green gave up 5 runs on 3 hits, 5 walks in 6 innings, and got a no decision. On June 6th, he got the win, but he gave up 4 runs on 5 hits in 6 2/3 innings. Green is 4-1 lifetime against the Cubs in 6 starts with a 4.54 ERA. Nico's 3 for 13 against Green. Seiya 5 for 11. Ian Happ 2 for 11 against Hunter, who throws a 4-seam fastball that averages 98 miles per hour, a slider, a split finger, and a curveball.
All right, very good. Nice preview. Hot and not. Nico Horner, boy, first multi-home run game, and he's been putting together a nice little series against the Phillies anyway.
He has one of the hottest hitters in baseball for the month of September. He's 8 for 22 in the last week, 364. He's got those 2 home runs, 5 RBIs. Look at Dansby Swanson, 9 for 25 with a home run and 3 RBIs. He's hitting 360. Seiya Suzuki, we told you about that ankle. I don't know. He's 6 for 17, hitting 353. On the flip side, Michael Busch, 3 for 16, hitting 188 in the last week. Like I said, he did not start today and did not play most of Tuesday. PCA 4 for his last 24. So he's hitting 167 for the week. And then Ian Happ, 3 for 19, hitting 158 for the week.
All right. So Ellie De La Cruz, he's kind of like the big ticket item over there with the Reds. He's on the hot list.
Yep. 9 for his last 26 with 1 home run, 4 RBIs. He's hitting 346. The Reds are not hitting that well right now. Jonathan India is the next hottest hitter, 5 for 17, hitting 294. As far as the cold list, you shouldn't have to worry, hopefully, about Spencer Steer, 2 for 16, hitting 125 in the last week. Will Benson is 1 for 12, hitting .083. You got Santiago Espinal, 2 for his last 16, also hitting 125. So they got a couple cold guys on this team.
Prediction time. I'll go first, Crawly. I'm going to say glass half full. 2 out of 3. Cubs win 2 out of 3.
I got the Reds taking 2 out of 3.
Boo.
I'm just telling you, Nick Martinez is pitching lights out. You got Hunter Green and Rhett Lauder. These are going to be 3 guys that are going to be tough to get runs off of. Kyle Hendricks, I don't know, maybe he'll pull some magic out. Justin Steele,
for. That's what I'm saying.
Justin Steele, maybe he kind of goes
I don't think
5 innings.
That's the game. That's the game I'm most worried about is Sunday, actually.
I'm telling you, again, this is going
to
be.
You're worried about Friday, huh?
Jamison Tyone doesn't have good numbers against the Red, and Nick Martinez is red hot. That's just a prediction. I may just be frustrated from a frustrating series and a frustrating season, but who knows?
Well, that's a wrap. Don't forget to listen, download, review, subscribe to the Fly the W podcast. We are not done, by the way. Follow us on all the socials, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X. You can also email us at flythew670@gmail.com, and you can watch us by subscribing to the 670 The Score YouTube channel. Again, we are not done. We will have 2 of these for you all year long, each and every week.
Absolutely. And go down, and I can tell you that there's something special about the last homestand of the weekend. It's not super crowded. You can get tickets pretty cheap. It's a way to say goodbye to your fellow Cub fans, fellow Cub friends, and just kind of, get the last bit of baseball before we have to go into hibernation. But here at Fly the W, we never go into hibernation. Go Cubs! Hey guys, it's Crawly. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. If you want to see more of our videos, be sure to check out our playlist and let us know what you think in the comments below. Also, don't forget to follow us on social media to stay up to date with our latest episodes. Links are in the description. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Go Cubs!